Hi guys, it's Rachel. I'm here with the tag 54321. It was started by Kelly Bear, I believe, and I've been tagged a few times, so I thought I would join in. Yeah, I have a cold. I don't know how terrible I sound. I think my voice has come back a little bit. So I was thinking that I wasn't going to get around to this for a while, but then I was worried I might get worse, and then who knows how long it will be. And it was really funny. We were sitting down to dinner last night, and my daughter's like, "What happened to your voice, Mom?" And I'm like, "I lost it. That happens, when you're sick." I'm like, "I'm sure it sounds pretty bad." And she says, "No, actually, I think you sound better this way." I'm like, what? What is that supposed to mean? Like, do, do I have a bad voice? And she's like, no. And I said, I get it, right? I probably sound like a villain or something. And she's like, I don't know. Yeah, you sound like a movie character or something. It was so funny. Like, I think you sound better like this. Like, what is that supposed to mean? Okay. Well, hopefully I can do this, and I guess the goal is to not make it too long, because then I will maybe yeah, I can't talk. I guess I'm really sick. I'm just saying if I talk too long, I'll probably lose my voice. So where do we begin? So 5 decks. I could not figure out how to choose 5 decks. I wasn't sure if I should use 5 that I'm currently using, or maybe show my 5 oldest decks, like my vintage and antique, or should I show 5 of my daughter's decks, because she has a collection too, and I couldn't decide, so I just kind of decided to show a combination of those things. And I tried to choose decks that I don't think that I've talked about on my channel before, just to, just for something different. So yeah, let's see, where do we begin? Okay, this is an oracle deck. This is the Literary Witches Oracle, and this is a deck that I always forget that I own. I really, really wanted this deck because if you've seen my videos, I love reading. I love literature. Wow, my voice sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? But the thing is I sometimes forget to use Oracle because it's not, I don't know. I use tarot primarily. But this deck I was obviously really intrigued by. Anne Carson. Love Anne Carson. Oh my God. Virginia Woolf. I would have bought the deck for this card alone, because she's one of my favorite people who's ever lived. And then you have these cards, which I can't tell you exactly what they mean, because it's been such a very long time since I flipped through the guidebook. But I did use this deck. I did use this deck a few times when I first got it a few years ago, and I thought it read actually really well, like really intuitively. Like I got Gertrude Stein. I drew this as my 1 card reading on the day that I started reading Gertrude Stein. I forget what I was reading, but anyway, it's a little bit bowed, but other than that, the cardstock is pretty nice. So yeah, I think it's a good oracle. I wish I could say more about it, but I have not used this deck in, well, years, because I always forget about it. I love Toni Morrison. Emily, of course, Sappho. I was really surprised to see Anna Agwaktova at first. I guess maybe she's more she's more well known than I realized. She's what actually got me into poetry, like years and years ago. For years, I did not think I was a poetry person. I think it was the way that it was approached in school. I just felt cold and dead. And yeah, it was the Russian poets that really opened my eyes. Anyway, yeah. Moving on. This is a deck that I don't think I've shown, and I'm showing it now because I was just trying to come up with 5 decks, and I mentioned it, I think, in my last wrap-up video. It's a deck that I was using this summer but forgot to bring in the room, so I'm showing it to you now. It's Journey into Egypt by Julia Kuchia Watts, and if you haven't seen this before, oh my gosh, the artwork is just amazing, these paintings. So she uses a different astrological system, which is intriguing, but you know, when I use the deck, I just kind of ignore that for now because I just have too much on my plate. But you know, I tend to read a deck for the most part the way that it was intended to be used by the creator. I'm not saying that that's the right way to go about your readings. I know there are plenty of people who adhere to maybe just one system, no matter what deck they're using, right? That's fine. But I find that that's what works for me. But yeah, it doesn't really change like the meanings, the basic meanings of the cards for me. Yeah. I forget what is it, Real Sky Astrology or something? That's what she uses. Yeah. So yeah, it's the Egyptian, what is it? The Journey into Egypt, right? So you see, like, I don't know, like different like dynasties and, you know, eras of ancient Greece. Or Greece, Egypt, sorry. So if you are into Egypt and its history, I think there's probably a lot for you to appreciate in this deck. So my daughter, okay, so my daughter has a collection of decks, and I'm going to show you, this might be the first deck that she ever got. She has a handful of decks, actually. Some she buys on her own with like money she gets for Christmas and birthday, and other decks I just buy her. And whatever your feelings are on that, you know, whatever. But I kind of just gave her cards, and I didn't really teach her much. I wanted her to just use her imagination. And it's really striking, the things that she's come up with. She's such an old soul. I'm not even going to get into that because I don't want this video to be too long. But the first deck I ever got her, I think she was 7 or 8. And it's this deck. It's the Emily Dickinson Tarot. And I forget, is that the actual name of the deck? It's self-published by Factory Hollow Press. I don't know if it's still available or not. It's a really lovely deck. And it's kind of hard to work out the quartz. I had worked it out for her sake some time ago, but it's been a long time, so now I don't remember. But yeah, it's also, I believe, what's the word for it? I'm so tired, guys. I forget. More than one artist worked on this deck. So she loves Emily Dickinson. I guess I should mention that. That's why she wanted the deck. I don't even remember how I found this. I think I was just searching Emily Dickinson gifts for Christmas, and I saw this, and I showed it to her. I was like, oh, look, that's so cool. Someone made an Emily Dickinson tarot. And she's like, can I please, 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 please get that for Christmas? Yeah, my daughter was like, 5, 6 years old, and you give her a book of poetry, and it was astounding the way that she would read it. And especially when it came to some of the words that she was pronouncing without a hiccup, like archaic for a 6-year-old, like, how do you even know? You'd ask her, like, how do you know this word or how to say it? And she would just put the book down and look at you and say, I was born knowing this. Okay. Like, all right, maybe. She would just get into a flow. It was like music, So she loved Emily Dickinson. She used to read the Emily Bronte poetry to me as well. And I have a family friend who was babysitting her, and they brought out like their old books, like their classic book collection, antique books from the shelf, and they were reading some poetry, and she wanted to read it herself. And the babysitter, the friend, she called me and she was like, did you know what your daughter can do? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard it. I don't know how does she do that? I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of scary. Okay, what next? So another deck that's part of my daughter's collection is this Our Tarot. So this was one that I picked it up as a gift. So she didn't even know that it existed. But when she opened it up, she looked at it and didn't say anything. And then all of a sudden she just like tore it open, and she was like looking all through this book. She loves history, even though she denies it. She denies it. I don't know why she does. But she's always reading some history book. And, I do too. So this was a deck that actually I wanted. I was really excited when I learned that it was going to be mass market, because I missed out on the self-published edition. I didn't realize I wanted the deck until it was out of print. And I thought I was going to buy it, and when I saw it, I think this is a wonderful collage deck. I don't hear a lot of people talk about this really anymore, but it's just so small. And I know that, like, that's great for, if you like small decks, but there's just so much going on in these, that's Emily Dickinson again. There's so much going on in these collages that I really wish they were larger. And I also really wish that I could find a copy of the self-published deck, but whenever I look for it, I can never find it. I don't ever see it up for sale. I don't remember. I've seen it, like I've seen the original work on Instagram or something, but I've never seen it for sale. And I was kind of sad that some of the cards changed. I forget why. Well, I think she wanted more diversity, which I felt like there was quite a bit to begin with. I can see that, but I wish that I wish that, you know, it could have been like an expanded deck maybe with some of the extra cards, because a couple of the ones that I was really drawn to aren't there anymore. I think it might have been, there was a card with Marilyn Monroe, and it was so beautiful. It just seemed to fit the card perfectly. And so I do like the new women that are represented, but I wish there was a way that there could be an expanded version. Oh, Isabella Stewart Gardner. Yeah, I really, honestly, if the deck had been larger, I would have just gotten a copy for myself as well. But, Octavia Butler. The book is really great. My daughter has read through it. She hasn't read the whole thing, but she was really thrilled that there was like this giant book. So see, I mean, look here, like look at these beautiful collages. And they're so tiny in the deck. So yeah, I really wish it was larger. Anyway, okay, so that is our tarot. Oh, okay. Now, did I show everything? I don't know if no, I didn't. Okay, so, all right, I'll show this deck because I think I mentioned it in one of my videos. This is my oldest deck. This is the Gypsy Witch. Now, this is from, like, I don't know, like 1905 or something like that. This edition here. So this is actually, this is probably my only antique deck. I have other vintage decks, but this would be antique. It's so beautiful. You know, when I first saw the Gypsy Witch, like years and years ago, I did not know that it was such a classic. I just thought that it was, you know, something from the past decade or so, you know. I don't know if I'm doing a very good job showing the cards. I never know. I always kind of forget. And I was able to get this for a very nice price. I was kind of shocked because these cards are quite pristine, and I've seen other editions of this, later editions, go for more. And I want to say I spent like $50 on this. So that's nice. That's nice. Especially nowadays, vintage and antique decks are, you know, so sought after. And prices of everything have definitely gone up. So, now, for tarot books, I struggled with this. All right, so the Book of Thoth, obviously. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about this too much, just because this is getting really long. But, you know, it's been said of it so many times. I mean, it's pure poetry. Now, I will say that although I don't think that there's really a right or wrong way to go about tarot, I will say I do believe from my own experience that there is a right and a wrong time to read a book. Any book, right? And especially, you know, with something like this. You know, there were days I'd pick this up and I was just like, whoa, my mind is blown, right? I'd pick it up the next day to take notes, and I would be like, what is he saying? Like, why did this make sense last night? But despite that, honestly, if you look through the book and you really read it and you listen to him, especially in the introductory chapters, he's pretty kind of down to earth in a weird way. Now, I want to warn you. Okay, so this is the first copy that I ever got. I wanted to warn you that there's a weird bootlegged version out there. And I got this from I think Amazon or something. And I read a couple reviews. I think it happened to some other people. Now, this was quite a while ago that I bought this, so maybe it's not out there anymore. But be careful, because this is, normally that would really, really bother me to have bought something like that. But honestly, this is so, so bad. It's so bad that it made me laugh. I was laughing out loud about how bad this is. It'll be, it'll stop in the middle of some tangent, and all of a sudden something from a couple pages before will be inserted right here, and then it will pick up in a random, it's impossible to read in places. I think I drew these arrows here, right? See, which are, and it just ends, with the sweep of his scythe he creates bubbles, in which are the Kabbalist embodied in the book of Genesis. What? And you have to pick up here. It's insane. Or I think all of these are all supposed to be on the same page or something. I'm trying to find quickly some examples of how bad this bootleg is. Maybe you can kind of get an idea. All right, there's a typo here. It's supposed to say life, and it says LFE. But yeah, here's an example of the poetry of this book. So I wish I could talk better tonight. He breaks down the meanings of the cards in various different ways. So in the back, after he read about all the cards, he has the cars. He has all this poetry for the majors, which are really beautiful. This is death. I think I read this in my Thoth, my negative cards video. The universe is change. Every change is the effect of an act of love. All acts of love contain pure joy. Die daily. Death is the apex of one curve of the snake life. Behold all opposites as necessary complements and rejoice. So it's just amazingly beautiful. Yeah, look at this. So bad. Or look, see, the tree of life is cut off. It's so awful. So just beware of that, okay? Yeah. What else? This I read a long time ago. Tarot for Yourself. This is cool. This is a vintage copy from 1984, which I thought was fun because it's the year I was born. I think it's kind of a cool year to be born in. So it's a workbook, and I actually did. I completed the whole thing. I learned a lot, and it was a long, long time ago, and I actually filled it out. I wrote in the book, which I tend not to do that with these sorts of things. But, yeah, there's certain things that I learned in here, or certain habits I think that I still adhere to, such as recording your readings every day, a 3-card spread. And I don't remember I don't remember if she used mind, body, spirit, or if it was something else. But I don't use that anymore. I still do 3 cards, but I don't use the meanings, the placements anymore. But anyway, I'm sure you guys know that book. So Tarot Correspondences is a fun book. This is T. Susan Chang. So I use this frequently. I love the tables. They're just fun. See, color scales of the Golden Dawn, Keter, and then you have your planetary association, King scale, Knight scale, and Thoth. Bria, the Queen scale. Yetzirah, Emperor scale. It's so cool. Nomenclature, astrology, and corresponding minors. So yeah, I wonder if you can see. There's some activities in here, which I did. Yeah, it's all tables. It's all tables. Please look it up. It's fun. Using elemental correspondences, which I do quite frequently, actually, especially if I'm stuck. I love the Sabian symbols. These are so much fun. I give you a card, like 8 of Wands, and all of the different symbols for the different degrees. Okay. So what was that? 3, and I struggled with books, guys. I struggled. There's so many books I haven't read. And I couldn't think, some of the books that I remembered liking, I couldn't remember why I liked. Oh, what was the 4th one? Oh, it was Tarot Vampires, but I forgot to bring it down. So yeah, lately I've kind of been not really resonating with tarot books aside from the Book of Thoth, but I'll just sort of cheat, and I'm reading some Jim Morrison. Like, this book here is The Lost Writings. Like, these aren't even poems that were published, I don't think. Like, he had poetry published during his lifetime. He had it published himself. These were, like, I'll just give you an example of what I'm trying to say and how I feel like it just resonates with my readings and what I'm doing. Like, I am a guide to the labyrinth, monarch of the protean towers on this cool stone patio above the iron mist, sunk in its own waste, breathing its own breath. I can make the earth stop in its tracks. I made the blue cars go away. I can make myself invisible or small. I can become gigantic and reach the farthest things. Like, that happens to me when I'm reading, when I'm doing readings, and I usually put music on, and I'll have my cards out, and I just close my eyes, and I just sort of go on a journey. And I'm not even doing acid like Jim probably was. but you know what I mean? Like, I can place myself anywhere in space or time. I can summon the dead. I can perceive events on other worlds in my deepest inner mind and in the minds of others. I am. Let's see. There were some really beautiful things in here. In that year, there was an intense visitation of energy. I left school and went down to the beach to live. I slept on a roof. At night, the moon became a woman's face. I met the spirit of music. Between childhood, boyhood, adolescence, and manhood, there should be sharp lines drawn with tests, deaths, feats, rites, stories, songs, and judgments. People need connectors, writers, heroes, stars, leaders, to give life form. A child's sandboat facing the sun, plastic soldiers in the miniature dirt war, forts, garage rocket ships, ceremonies, theater, dances, to reassert tribal needs and memories, a call to worship, uniting above all, a reversion, a longing for family, and the safety magic of childhood. And he's right. And so isn't that what we're all after? I mean, maybe a lot of us. So yeah, Jim, I mean, he didn't really get into astrology, but, you know, he was into William Blake, and he read Joseph Campbell, and he studied all of the Greek myths and the Greek theater and Nietzsche, and oh my God, he read everything. So there was definitely a spiritualism there, as there is in all of their music. So that's really what's been, I don't know, resonating with me lately for, for books. I don't know what to say. I'm not very well worded. All right. Spreads. So I don't really use spreads. I do a 3-card reading every day, like every single day. And sometimes I do more than one. Sometimes I do a single draw, usually from an oracle. I'll do a 3-card reading and then, you know, oracle. I don't even really use the, you know, mind, body, spirit or any of that anymore. I think Madwitch was saying this in her video too. Same. I kind of like to take the cards and rather than saying like past, present, future, take a look at them and see how I think they play together, basically. Although I do agree with the same exact thing that she said about the Marseille. I tend to look at the order in which they are placed more than the other systems that I use, like the Rider Waite. And I think that's because of the way that it's taught in a lot of books, is like, which way is the queen facing? You know, is she looking at the 3 of Wands or away from it? You know what I mean? And I think that they're easier to read that way. So yeah, same. This was a reading that I did a couple of days ago, and I record my readings, and this is the Edmund Dulac Tarot, which I got recently, and with this particular deck, I tend to read it more intuitively than based on my own meanings and my, you know, my lexicon of key words. I tend to, you know, meld the two together, but sometimes something is just spot on. Other times I can't read it and I think about the elementals, or I record it and I just try to get something out of it. I just write down all of the readings every day. I try to interpret them. But for example, the way that I read, I don't know, like I only read for myself. So this was a reading I did for myself and I based the meaning off of the way that I was feeling. I think I was feeling some, I don't know, some boredom, or just feeling like I wanted to live in another time, basically. That was the bane of my existence as a kid. I felt like I didn't belong in this century. And I got used to it. I'm very happy with where I am, but I don't know, sometimes that comes back. I felt like I didn't want to live here. So this is what I got from this, like feeling like a little rush, a headlong rush into the unknown, a leap into the abyss. For how else do we abate the Weltschmerz? All that longing, for we know not what. Let's focus on water, on the subconscious, for we do not lack experience. We live it day by day. We will long for the mundane after death. We have lived in abundance for centuries. And that might not make any sense to anybody else, but for me, it actually really, really brightened my mood. It's like, don't feel like you're not a part of the world. Like you are a part of the world, even if you feel like you're not taking part in events firsthand. I don't know, or things that have happened. Anyway, this is sort of all over the place. Have 2 habits and or paraphernalia. Okay, so for paraphernalia, I kind of already talked about this, but I do this every day. I've done this every single day since, like, I don't know when I started this habit, if it was 2017 or 2018, but I record my 3 cards every day and color code them and write brief events of the day, like what I did that day. This is not where I record the meanings of the cards. Where I record the meanings of the cards is in the ritual planner. And I recommend this, but I don't know if I'm going to keep up with this because I think I can do this in my own notebook. You do your 3 cards, and I'll just show you a blank page. You write your date, you put stickers here or write them in yourself. I use stickers, and you interpret the meaning, and then notes. That's where I write, like, I don't know, just some events of the day, but for 1, 2, and 3, this is me interpreting each card. And I bought this because I felt like I needed more structure. I found myself not making enough time for readings. And so I thought if I spent money, I think those journals are like, I don't know, I want to say maybe 30 bucks. I felt like if I were going to put the money into something, it was going to behoove me to actually use it and stick with it. And that worked. But I found myself, especially this summer, not enjoying it as much and just feeling more pressure than anything else. So I do that. And I also keep a diary. And I don't write in my diary every day because it's just a personal diary, but I try to write in it as often as I can. Sometimes tarot knowledge goes in there as well, or esoteric knowledge, or poetry that maybe I'm writing, or I record my dreams, or I just talk about my boring day. But I've been keeping a journal, a diary for quite a while. And I have other little notebooks, like field journals and stuff that I carry with me places. And then what else? Like, I don't know, paraphernalia. Like, I love things. Like, I love scarabs. I love this green crystal ball. I love, like, these spread cloths mean a lot to me. This one came from the Ukraine. Owls. I love my owls. This was from my mother. She collected owls, and now I do. I like painted eggs. I love skulls. So I don't know. I just kind of am doing a reading, not always, but especially if I'm in here, I like to have some of my favorite rocks around me. So candles, definitely candles. Always candles. And incense too, usually incense, unless I'm with my cat. My cat does not like incense. So I don't, he loves candles. He loves candles. He loves sitting and looking at the flame. He loves music too. Music and candles, but not incense. So I only use my incense for my readings if I'm in here. Okay, piece of advice or a card. Okay, so I totally agree with what Meg said about there's no wrong way. Yeah. Let me think if there's something else I can say though. Like, I think I already talked about in certain cases, like maybe abandoning knowledge and reaching for intuition, or maybe the opposite. Some people tend to read just intuitively. Talking out loud. Talking out loud helps me. Like I said, I don't read for others, but especially if I am feeling troubled by emotions that I'm having, I tend to talk out loud. Or maybe if I'm just trying to interpret the reading and not getting anything out of it, if I talk out loud, what does this mean? What do we see here? What colors do I see? What elements are at play here? Like, oh, I see a lot of water, or I don't see any air. There's no air here. You know what I mean? Or if I just describe what's going on in the card out loud, I tend to not only be able to interpret the reading better, but it's a good way of solving problems. And I know I'm not the first person to have said that. It's just a reminder, talking out loud to yourself helps. And that's something that I've done since I was young, but I wish that I remembered to use that tool more often when I was younger. Just talking out loud to yourself. So yeah, I think that's it. And yeah, this was fun. And I hope that I was coherent enough. Like I said, I'm sick and I'm really, really tired, but I was worried that I was probably not going to feel as good tomorrow as I do today. So I just wanted to hop in while I could. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. All right, take care. Bye.